In today's video, I have got the Okura Plus mutes from Japan as well as the SoftRing mute from Canada. What's going on? My name is Joshua Rzepka, and today is Mute Monday. If you're new around here, Mute Monday is a weekly series where I discuss and demonstrate different trumpet mutes. Today I am very excited to be sharing with you these 3 mutes. These are all international mutes and they just came in the mail, so I am very excited to play them and share them with you. Starting off, we will be checking out the Okura Plus mutes, and these are 2 practice mutes that I got from Japan. They don't have any distribution right now in the United States. You can order them online, but I think they're looking into distribution. And then there's this very cool SoftRing mute, and this is a neat one. So I'm going to dive into all these in just a minute. Before we get started, if you have yet to download my free mute handbook, what are you waiting for? It is free. Click the link below, enter your email address, and I will send it directly to your inbox. It is filled with tips and tricks to help you elevate your mute game and play better starting today. Now, the Okura Plus mutes. Both of these mutes are practice mutes. They emailed me out of the blue saying, can we send you these mutes so that you can check them out? And of course, I wanted to check these out because I have never seen them before. They are making them in Japan, or they're selling them, and they are selling them in Europe. So they are widely available for a lot of people. Unfortunately, here in the US, we don't have them quite yet. This first mute, this is a practice mute for the B-flat trumpet, and the second one is for the piccolo trumpet. So let's dive into this B-flat trumpet practice mute. All right, so the first thing about this mute, check it out. This mute is made out of plastic. You can see there's a little hole in the bottom, and check that out. Look at the top there. You can see it's got a rubber on the top. It's not a foam, it is a rubber, and check this out. The mute actually unscrews. It opens up, and you can actually take this piece that is inside of it, you can take this out. And now it comes with a new piece, a larger piece, and you can put this inside, and then you can close it back up. And let me screw this in. You can close it back up, and it changes how the mute plays. And it changes how it feels, it changes how it sounds, how it responds in different registers. So I'm going to demonstrate this mute with both of the different pieces in, and I'm going to jump back and forth so you can hear the difference between the short insert and the long insert, and that's how I'm going to label them in the demonstration. Here is the piccolo trumpet practice mute. So I'm not exactly sure how many people out there are really using a practice mute with the piccolo trumpet, or even looking for a practice mute for the piccolo trumpet. The pick is hard enough to play to begin with. It's got a lot of back pressure. It's really easy to overblow. It's got all kinds of intonation problems. So adding mutes can be tricky. So I'm excited to check this out and see how it plays and how it feels and how it responds on the pick. And check this out. This is a nice little plastic mute, and you can see they've got a different material on the bottom. It's thicker, this black rubber on the bottom. And there is the label, and it's got a nice cork there up on top, if you can see. And if you can see inside of it, I don't know if this is going to focus properly. If you can see inside, there is actually a little tube that goes inside there, and it doesn't go that much. It's maybe like an inch that it kind of goes into the mute from the bottom. And well, here is a practice mute for the piccolo trumpet. I do have some literature that they sent along with these 2 mutes, and I want to read some of this to you because, well, they included it, and I want to make sure that I can share it with you. The official product, this is the product information from them. With the highest standards in mind, the Okura Plus mute is designed for discerning players at any level. A proprietary Japanese design provides light and comfortable resistance when played to allow for free and steady airflow without altering the instrument's natural intonation and overtone series. This helps the player keep their throat relaxed during practice, feel each tone center clearly, and play with minimal effort throughout the entire register. That sounds great. And they did explain a little bit about the secondary piece that they included here. And they said in the spring of 2020 that was a new development, and they were working with one of the trumpeters of the Vienna Philharmonic. That's how they created that new piece, and now they include it with this mute. When you get it, they include the second piece, so that is great because you're basically getting a mute that unscrews and plays in 2 different ways, so you can really dial it in. And I love it when you get a mute that is adjustable in one way, shape, or form, because that really allows you to dial it in and make it work for you. And that's what we all need to do. They also say here, for example, the low register with the Trumpet Okura Plus mute may improve with the long pipe. And then they talk a little bit about the trombone and bass trombone with that long pipe. So they make these for different instruments as well. And then they say you may feel better in terms of intonation, focus, airflow, etc. But I really like how they say, we are confident that this option makes more brass players satisfied and happy, though every player plays different. So, of course, everyone is different, and this is just great. It gives you a little option. You can open it up, swap it out, and really dial it in. All right, now we've got the SoftRing mute, and as the name suggests, this is a soft ring. This is made out of neoprene, and it fits over the bell, and it can actually go in a couple different positions. I'm going to demonstrate this mute in 2 different positions. This is made up in Canada. So Michael Barth, he is a trumpeter, and years ago he got a mute that was very similar to this, and he couldn't find it. Whoever was making it at the time, they made maybe not that many, and he wanted a new one. So he figured out how to make some, and after a couple of years, well, he decided, why don't I just make these mutes and sell them and put them out there? And these are new. It was just in December that he set up the website and started selling these, and I believe his wife sews them. And like I said, these are made out of neoprene, and they're cool. I didn't quite know what to expect when I got this in the mail. I wasn't really sure it was going to make that big of a difference with how the trumpet played, but I got to say it makes quite a big difference. So very, very cool. And I'll hold it up. Check this out. Like I said, it is just neoprene, and you can see on the inside there, hopefully it focuses properly. If you see on the inside, it's got just a couple seams on it, and the way that I set this up to do the demonstrations is that I put it on the first seam and then on the second seam. And he explains on the website that it actually plays differently and responds differently depending on where it is, how far back on the bell. And a cool thing about this, he also demonstrates using this SoftRing mute in conjunction with other mutes, with straight mutes, with cut mutes, and it actually changes how those mutes sound as well. So very cool that you can use this mute in so many different ways, and some people may want to use this just to take the edge off the sound. It really reduces the brightness and the brilliance of the sound. And one thing to keep in note, he says this on the website, when you put it in the position where it is sticking further off the bell, the higher register can become a little bit squirrely. So we're going to check that out, and I will let you know how it responds throughout all of the different registers. I asked him about the development of this mute, and he said that it wasn't that many prototypes and came together pretty quickly. They only made a few different prototypes, and they experimented a little bit with the thickness and the diameter until they settled on this design. So a very big thank you to Michael for sending me this mute, as well as the people at Okura Plus Mutes. A very big thank you for sending me these mutes, and let's hear some mutes. All right, so you've just heard all three of these mutes, and what did you think? Which one were you most surprised by? Which one did you like the most? Let me know in the comments below. I'm always interested to know what you think about these mutes. And let's start off with this Okura Plus mute for the B flat trumpet. First of all, I love when there's a mute that you can unscrew and change a piece. The fact that you can open this up and swap out the tube, put a different one in, it is just great because you got to dial it in. And every player is different, every horn is different. You know, the combination of player to horn and mouthpiece and mute, there are so many differences. So the fact that you have some control over that is really great. As far as how this mute plays, well, it really reduces the sound quite a lot. Personally, for me, I like the way that the mute sounds the most with the smaller tube in it. Although I will say that with the longer tube, the response, the articulation for me was actually a little bit better. So it's a little bit of a compromise. If I was going to use it to really be as soft as possible, I would probably use the smaller tube. As far as how this plays, it plays really nicely. It is pretty open, and the articulation on this mute, it threw me a little bit. So it feels pretty nice actually when you're playing it. The articulation feels pretty precise and pretty crisp. However, the way it sounds when you're playing, it sounds as though it isn't as crisp as it is. So to me, there was a little like a signal discrepancy between what I was feeling and what I was hearing. But practicing with a little bit, I would probably get used to it. Now, when I put the other tube in, the lower register, as they said, it responded even better. The lower register is fine with the shorter tube. With this, it's even more secure, and the articulation was more secure with the longer tube. To me, it was a little bit louder, maybe a little bit brighter with the longer tube, and I didn't really notice too many differences in intonation between the two. I gotta say, overall, I dig this Okura mute. I think that it's something worth checking out if you are trying to get a practice mute, especially if you're in Europe or you're in Asia and you're looking for a practice mute. It's probably a lot easier to get than for us here in the United States right now. This practice mute for the piccolo trumpet, well, I haven't really played many other practice mutes for the piccolo trumpet, so it's difficult for me to compare this to other ones. I was finding it to be even more difficult than normal to play in tune, and especially kind of jumping through registers. I did play it through all of the registers on the piccolo trumpet that I would be playing literature and repertoire, and it just wears me out even more than the pick normally does. So I'm not sure that I would really use this for the pick. If I needed to be really soft on the piccolo trumpet, I would probably just maybe play into the closet or play into some coats or pillows or put a crown bag over the bell. Do something just to kind of reduce the sound without having as much resistance as this has. It's not like a terrible amount of resistance, but like I said, for me, the piccolo trumpet, it's already small and easy enough to overblow. I don't want to have something else in the bell that is going to give me any issues. I will say I could see myself using this maybe if I were playing some church services, some weddings or something, and I needed to play pick at the end, and there was going to be a long break where I couldn't play, and I had to be really, really very soft. Maybe I would toss that in and play a couple notes just to get the chops working again after the mass, so that I can just pick up the horn and bam, right? Maybe an orchestra, or there's going to be some situations you could be backstage and you could use this, but then again, I don't want to introduce more tension into my playing if I'm about to play piccolo trumpet, but for me, I'm really just not sure. I would be using a practice mute with the pick all that often. I really would rather just kind of play open and play really, really soft if I needed to. Now, what did you think about this SoftRing mute? Very neat, very unusual, very cool. I gotta say, I am a fan. I love how you can flip it inside out, you can fold this flat, you can put this in your case so easily, and it really does give you a lot of different sound and color options when you're playing. If you are doing a lot of jazz gigs, a small group, this is a great option. If you're doing some solo work or classical stuff and maybe it says felt bag or crown royal bag, this may be something to consider. Either way, it really kind of takes the edge off and mellows out the sound, and I think it's pretty versatile and pretty great little mute to have. Now they say on the website that the upper register on this mute, when it is in the further position out, it doesn't slot so well and it's a little squirrely, and they mention that, and they are right. Above a high C, it can get a little tricky to really lock the notes in and feel really secure, and especially if you're going into a D, E, F. If you're getting up there, you're not going to want to have this mute on in the further position out. You're really going to want to kind of push it closer towards the edge of the bell. Otherwise, this is a great mute. Of course, it's not adding any resistance. This does not add any resistance to your playing. It does change a little bit the way the trumpet feels, and that's just because it's kind of tight around the bell, and I think it just changes how it vibrates and how everything resonates. But that's what's taking away that edge, those upper harmonics and all the highs in the sound. It's really kind of capturing a lot of them and dampening them, and gives you this great sound. So very cool, and they do make this for the flugelhorn and the piccolo, which is cool. Maybe the piccolo trumpet one. I don't have one, I haven't played one, but it would be really cool to check it out and see how much it is reducing the sound, because like I said before with this practice mute, and I'm not just calling out this practice mute. I think I would probably call out any practice mute for the piccolo trumpet. For me, I would probably actually go with the easy bucket mute, piccolo mute, just to kind of take the edge off. But I'd be interested if it took enough of the edge off the piccolo trumpet. But then again, the upper register on the big horn, it's a little squirrely when you get way up high and you have it in the position where it's taking away the most highs from the sound. So I wonder how it responds on the piccolo trumpet. I will see if I can get a hold of one of those and review one in a future video. I think that would be cool to check out. Alright, well, that is all I've got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, click subscribe. It really makes a very big difference. The thing that actually helps me the most is leaving a comment. So let me know what you thought about all these, and I want to thank you for spending some time with me and joining me, and I will see you in the next video.